nothing, yeah, nothing that we can't do.
You ready?
Yeah, he's in the pros. He's in the pros.
Is there a problem?
I'm not seeing a solicitor. I don't know if he had some information that I don't. But he's saying let's
I'll
roll.
give it a whack. I'll give it a whack.
Well, others should be good. I watch a lot of those TV attorneys.
You just want that list of
I love
This one, yes.
Wales are
We can roll.
1 minute.
Okay. Every clock in this place is different time.
Okay, the regular public meeting of the Township of Whitehall Board of Commissioners now come to order. After the pledge, we'll have a moment of silence for all of our troops serving home and abroad. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
There we go. That's okay. I'll not do that. Don't.
We're gonna do the minutes first. I'll have a motion to approve, oh, sorry. Can we, I thought this was gonna be done.
One more time.
One more time.
One more time.
Just tonight, I don't have to do it next week?
Next month,
Just
then
in
it's done.
December, and then after that, it's clear.
So you have one more opportunity to.
I have one more opportunity not to read it? All right, cool. Whitehall Township has an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing and to review all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. This includes taking meaningful actions that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected characteristics. The township in its land use decisions does not discriminate against persons based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status, and reviews all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. Public comments made on the basis of bias and stereotype concerning people within these protected classes will not be taken into consideration by the township in its deliberations. Now, I will take a motion to approve the regular public meeting minutes of October 14th, 2019.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Made the motion. Joe?
Joe.
I do just want to make a change that I was present at the last meeting.
Okay. So Joseph Marks was absent too. Was he here?
Were you here, Joe?
Yeah, I was here.
Yeah. The month before? All right. Thank you. Take care of that for me. I think we have video that I was here.
Second, yes.
All right, cool. All right. With those two changes,
One more. Tom, did you, on Bill 56-219, did you vote no? The sidewalk for Quarry Street? whatever?
yes, that's correct.
Yes, and looking back, I would have done the same, but it wouldn't change the outcome. Since they're blasting 2 or 3 driveways already, they're removing a significant amount of rock, probably putting basements, so, but just correct that vote for Tom.
Okay, with those changes, hearing nothing else? Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Clary?
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker? Aye. Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Fryman?
Yes.
President Hauer?
Yes.
Motion approved, 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, we have a Veterans Day presentation. I will make myself disappear.
Lee, do we need to turn lights down? No.
Coming over.
I'm gonna let you know, I'm gonna say that for the first time that I've been doing this, that every person appearing in this video is either an employee of the township, a relative of an employee, or a resident of the township. First time. After all these years.
always still be known as Handsome Phil Ginder, not, with or without the picture, he's gonna be Handsome Phil Ginder. Lee, thank you for putting that together. I know, I don't wanna speak for all the commissioners, but we appreciate all the hard work that you do putting that together and commemorating all of our township employees and residents who serve. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Okay, moving on to courtesy of the floor.
Lorianne Fainal.
Hello, Lorianne Panel. I live at 3107 North 3rd Street here in Whitehall Township. I first and foremost want to thank our veterans as well. I thought we had a beautiful ceremony today at all the places that I went to today. Great job by everybody. I also want to thank my opponents who were very gentle and kind to me at the polling places. It was a great time. I really enjoyed talking to everybody. My next thing I want to say is, if possible, can we have consideration to, at the legal and legislative meeting, to adopt an ordinance to try to prevent these commercial vehicles and these campers that are sitting on our streets for months and not moving, like they're using it as their personal storage. And that's what I'm saying. It's not just in Hockendackwa, it's actually other places as well. I've seen it, Fullerton. And some of these spots, they're causing an obstruction of view to where you're trying to make a turn, you can't see the oncoming traffic. Now, I just saw there was a complaint down by 2nd South Street, there was campers there. They finally tagged the one as an abandoned vehicle. Thank you, finally, Whitehall Police. Anyway, if we can discuss it possibly at a legal and legislative meeting to maybe adopt an ordinance to try to prevent this from happening would be great. I think our citizens in our township would appreciate it too, for safety of everybody as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mike Mazur.
Mike Miser, 3015 North Front Street, Whitehall. I'm not sure if any of you were on the board back in December 2014. I stood before the board about some illegal firearms ordinances that Whitehall had. There was an ordinance change. They took care of it. But I did find some recent discrepancies at some parks and on the website. So they started replacing some of the signs at they were worn pretty bad, so they started replacing them. But the new signs at the Stiles Playground do say no discharging of firearms or bows. Also on your website, when I went through it this afternoon, the same thing under the, there's an application to, just give me a second. Whitehall Parkway Facility Usage Questionnaire. I assume it's to, if you want to have a get-together or something like that at the Parkway. But there is a list of rules on there, what you can and cannot do, and once again, firearms is restricted in that area. So these are things that need to be addressed and taken care of.
I believe the Parkway, the reason why the revision was made, because Civil War days, apparently there was an accidental discharge or a discharge of a weapon during that event years ago. And I believe that's why that was changed, if I'm not correct. Or maybe I can stand corrected.
Not sure.
We can look into it for you if you want.
Okay.
We're happy to look into it.
There's a difference between carrying and discharging your weapon. I mean, so what you read about the first part there, it said no discharge, and, well, but you can carry, but you can't discharge. I mean, it's just like, hey, boom, 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 let's shoot in the sky, and that's not allowed.
That is correct.
Okay.
What that falls under is a completely different thing.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that that's what you use, though, to present the very first part. I don't know what the second part, when you got into the Parkway, does it say no discharge?
It says no discharging of firearms or bows, same thing.
Okay, but does it say that you can't carry?
It does not say that.
Okay, so then you have the right to carry if that's what's so important for you.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, so you can discharge a firearm in Pennsylvania.
Not within so many feet of a house, a residence,
You can use
or
it
whatnot,
for
or people, and
self-defense.
In self-defense, Well, that was a given, wasn't it? That's why you're supposedly carrying that. What I'm saying is you just can't willy-nilly just shoot in the air. You just can't do it.
That is correct. And what that falls under is reckless endangerment, is what it falls under. But you are not allowed to have that posted in a park.
You're not allowed to put that you can't discharge a weapon.
That is correct.
And where
That
does-
falls under Firearms Owners Against Crime versus Lower Marion Township.
Okay, well, again,
I,
I think that's idiotic, but, you know, what you're saying is basically, let's go ahead. Now, I know when you were in here before, I know what we went through, and we did change the signage, so, the attorney's gonna have to look in to see how far that goes there.
And sir, if you don't mind me asking, can you give me a list of the items you want me to look into so I can review it?
Oh, absolutely. I have everything here for you.
It'll make it easier,
Yeah.
because I don't think the board's gonna have any answers yet until we look into
No.
it. So,
The one that will cover everything is Firearms Owners Against Crime versus Lower Marion Township with their discharge
that's
ordinances.
oh, you're talking about an ordinance, or are you talking about a case?
No, this is a case. This went to the Supreme Court, and it was shot down. So you cannot put that on a sign, because what that's telling somebody is if they are in need of using a firearm, you're saying
the
it's
case again?
illegal not to
What was
do
the
it.
case again?
Firearms Owners Against Crime versus Lower Marion Township.
Okay, I'll take a look into it.
It's no different than you can't control hunting in Whitehall.
Yes, you can. You can control hunting. It's in the Pennsylvania state game laws. I mean, you're gonna say, well, that's not allowed either. I mean,
That
then
is
you'd have
covered by
people in
the
the
Game
parkway.
Commission.
Correct, and you'd have people hunting in the parkway, according to what you're just saying.
If you
So
want to hunt on the Lehigh River, you can hunt on the Lehigh River.
Well, says you, I don't know.
It is. It's completely illegal.
Again, so says you. And I mean, this is, like I said, this is
This is
very
what
important to
Pennsylvania
you.
law
For-
says.
For some reason, it's very important to you and, you know.
It's
Just so I
important to everybody
just
in
so
this-
I understand, you're upset about a sign that says no discharging of weapons in a playground.
in a park.
Well, you said that
Anywhere.
this is the style's playground.
This is at the playground. It's also in the parks.
Okay.
You can't have that ordinance. You can't have that signage anywhere.
All right, well,
Only
Well, I
the
thi-
state can do that.
our
Sir,
legal counsel will look into that.
So rather than go through the, I mean, I think we understand your point, rather than keep going on it, I'll take a look into it for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question? When you suggest that you can hunt on the Lehigh River, I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about.
Dimbakowitz owns quite a bit of property along the Lehigh River
Right.
down there. Let's say you wanted to go down there and go hunt deer, if he let you hunt. You
Right.
could hunt deer down there. You can hunt waterfowl down there.
Okay, so you're not suggesting it's without the support of the property owner?
Of the property owner, correct.
Okay.
Okay, we'll look into it. Thank you.
Can I ask you one question? Sure. How would your organization prevent people from just, if that's not on the signs at the parks about shooting, how would your organization propose that we just stop anybody from just going to these playgrounds and start shooting?
Because it is already illegal under Pennsylvania law. It's reckless endangerment.
Yeah.
That's what it should be done under. And it's already a law. It's just that you can't do any firearms laws on a local level. It has to be the same across the state. It's Title 18, Section 6120, and it's extremely clear. You cannot do that, or else you would have hodgepodge laws everywhere you went. Something would be different. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Well, I understand, but in the parkway, you know, really, people shouldn't be hunting in the parkway. I mean, there's kids walking around those paths and those trails and, you know,
That falls under Pennsylvania game law. I don't know what
Yeah.
that says about hunting in the parks and
But-
townships.
But one of the problems we ran into years ago is people from Allentown were coming up and shooting in the parkway. They thought it was open area to just come in and shoot. And, you know, and people are walking around in there with their kids and everything. And there were a bunch of us actually had to go through and police up some live ammo and stuff because the Easter egg hunt was coming that weekend, and there were some reenactors in there from Reading. shooting and stuff. And the next weekend, we had the Easter egg hunt, and we had to walk through that parkway and police up live rounds. So that the kids weren't picking them up during the Easter egg hunt and saying, "Here, Mom, look what I just found." So, you know, I don't know how you deal with some of this stuff. I understand where you're coming from, but, you know, a little thought about what we go through as a community too. When people from outside our community come into these open areas and they just want to do whatever they want to do, and if we don't post it, they think it's fine to go in there.
Well, there is laws that cover that, so they should be held responsible under those laws.
And what we get in court then is, well, we didn't know that, nothing was posted, so we thought we could go in there and hunt.
And that's not acceptable, ignorance of the law.
No, it's not acceptable when there's families trying to walk around in there and enjoy a Saturday afternoon.
It's, if it breaks the law, they should be punished for it.
Does that happen before or after someone gets hurt? Just out of curiosity.
That's not for me to answer. It's what the law says.
Okay, so the rights of the public to enjoy their park without fear of being shot outweighs the concerns that, does not outweigh the concerns of people who want to shoot.
Well, this is all covered under different parts of Pennsylvania law.
I'm just asking if that's the.
That's not for me to
basis.
answer. It's just, the law says, general rule, no county, municipality, or township may in any manner regulate the lawful ownership, possession, transfer, or transportation of firearms, ammunition, or ammunition components when carried as transported for purposes not prohibited by the laws of this Commonwealth.
So your suggestion would be that if the sign says, except in a matter of self-defense, would clarify the law accurately enough to preclude them from shooting in any other manner then?
The easiest thing to do would be to say, no discharge of bows, or no discharge except firearms. That would be acceptable.
I mean, it does, the actual statute you just cited in red says, no county, municipality, or township may in any manner regulate the lawful. So you just admit, but you did say that this was unlawful, what you were talking about. You said it was reckless endangerment, correct?
If you are, like someone referenced, that you're shooting into the air, that's a reckless endangerment.
So that could be regulated.
That is, well, it already is. It's under,
But the statute you just cited said you can regulate that, the local municipality can.
no, this is under Pennsylvania state law is reckless endangerment. That's under Pennsylvania Crimes Code. That would be a
Reading
proper thing.
I'm reading the Crimes Code. It
Okay.
says it right here.
Section,
Section
Title 18, 6120.
Correct. It says, no county, comma, municipality or township may in any manner regulate the lawful ownership. So what you're talking about is not lawful.
Yeah, if they're
So
doing.
it can be regulated.
If they're doing something unlawful, yes. If I'm defending myself against someone or an animal,
All right, I think, let me do some research on this.
Okay.
I think that probably doesn't benefit anybody to keep going on something that we don't have an answer
but if
to.
you would like copies of this, I'd be more than happy to give it to you, and you can go from there.
I can find it, I'm sure.
Okay?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Great. Thank you very much for your time.
Mario Spagnoletti.
Mario Spagnoletti, 351 Sumner Avenue, Whitehall. John Rackus from Public Works informed me that we may not be able to have the recycling event at the garage place there. Is that can we have it someplace else? I wouldn't know where else to have it.
We believe that we will be able to, and we just need to complete conversations with the school district. We believe we have an agreement, in theory at least, to allow us to do it on certain parking lots over there. So actually, it's going to be better for us because we'll have the ability to stack more vehicles. So it's actually, I think, a better circumstance than we've confronted.
You mean we can't have it there?
No, we can have it at the school district, potentially. We need to finalize the understanding. But because we will begin shortly before that event, we would beginning work on this site for the new building. So we reached out to the school district. It looks like we're going to get a yes out of them. That's not written in stone yet, but we believe it's going to happen. So we'd be able to do it over there during this transitional period while we're working on the building.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. And it'll be the same thing. We're not eliminating anything at this point. It's the same recycling program, just at a different location.
Okay, thank you.
Tony Struss. Your name and address, please.
My name's Tony Struss at 4209 Bridge Street in Egypt. If you guys were over at Egypt lately on Bridge Street, you'll see that there is no street. It hasn't been for forever. My concern is this: when it snows, my driveway is a good 20 yards from Reliance. Am I going to be guaranteed access out of my house to get to Reliance Street? Because the way I look at this street, it's so uneven and you can't plow it. It's just a mess, to say the least.
I can take care of that one. Yeah, hi, I'm the engineer for the township. I'm in contact with the contractors out there. Your driveway will be serviced throughout the wintertime and passable. The township will still continue to plow that section of Reliance, but your access that they compromise with the work, that's gonna be preserved, and they're in charge of making sure you have access to get out.
I can get out.
Yep, and if you want to, give me your name and your number, and I can get you the contact information for the contractor, and myself as well.
Yeah, Frank, please follow up, because I'd hate to see these people trapped.
Oh gosh, yeah, there's
You
three
know, in a
They
houses.
only
bad
have
position.
one street out where he lives.
Right.
Yeah, there's 3 residences there that are solely served.
And God
by
forbid
Reliance.
somebody drop the ball. If you get a multiple numbers to call, because he's gonna be in a situation, it's also a public safety issue.
Absolutely.
If we can't get in and out, or they can't get in
That
and
was a
out of there.
condition of the detours, that they
Okay.
have to keep maintaining the driveways to get to these residences.
I just wanna make sure they're diligent, because he is correct. It's in terrible condition.
Well,
It's,
it is.
it's
It's
an
a
horrendous
war zone.
situation, and
One more thing. The retention pond that's across the street, what, is that a mosquito trap, or what is the issue?
Yeah, what that is there's a, that's gonna handle the runoff from the storms coming down. We're collecting all the stormwater on Bridge Street with the reconstruction of Bridge Street. So the stormwater that used to run down the street will now be in roadside swales, and then that'll enter into that storm basin.
Yeah, but the water's gonna set there.
No, it drains out, it usually drains out within 24 to 48 hours.
Well,
No, it's supposed to, it's a detention pond, it holds the water back.
yeah, but
right.
it's not draining. The water stays there.
Well, there's some water that's gonna stay because you have to spray it on the property, but that also dewaters. Okay,
Well,
that's
I'll
not
see
gonna
what
be.
happens this summer. And
No, the system, there's a pump, and that pumps water out onto the soil through spray irrigation and also subsurface irrigation. So that's part of the rules now we have to follow. You have to take some of the water from the storms, and you've got to redistribute it on the land. But it all is designed to dewater completely.
we'll see.
Okay, well, no, that's by design.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you all.
Thanks. Okay.
Can I get your number? Can I get your number here?
All right, moving on to public hearing and voting on ordinances. It's bill number 49-2019, an ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to execute settlement agreement and release with M&F Associates III, LLC, Frank A. Chimmix and Vicky A. Chimmix and UGI Utilities Incorporated, to execute a deed of easement, right-of-way, and to execute a termination of easement on behalf of Whitehall Township. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Dinder,
Yes,
Commissioner Fryman,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
yes.
Commissioner Swanaker, aye, Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
President Hauer.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 54-2019, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of 2 correction deeds from the County of Lehigh for property located within the Jordan Creek Park on the east side of Mickley Road in the Township of Whitehall, County of Lehigh, with respect to an approximately 20.13 acre parcel identified as tax parcel identification number 549759931-986-1, and an approximately 5.804 acre parcel identified as tax parcel identification number 549-860-274514-1. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions from the board? Comments or questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Warren.
Aye.
Commissioner Clary.
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder.
Yes.
Commissioner Fryman.
Yes.
Commissioner March.
Yes.
President Hauer.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 57-2019, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the Copley Creek Bank restoration, design, and construction for the Public Works Bureau of the Township of Whitehall, RFP 2019-05, in accordance with Section 3.20 of the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Comments or questions from the board? Comments or questions from the floor? Yes.
Mario Spangletti. This bank restoration, where is that gonna take place? Is that something with the Fish and Boat Commission involved, or the Conservancy, or?
No, this relates to MS4. This relates to our stormwater management. And this is Mr. Rakis's ordeal.
Okay.
In order to comply with the MS4 regulations, the township's required to do so much, or to prove that we are complying with the MS4. The township has to do so
Okay.
much. So that's what this is related to.
In other
Mr.
words, it's not an environmental to restore the bank for the company.
Yes, it actually is.
It is?
What this is to curb erosion, to keep as much solids out of our stormwater as possible. So this is a way for us, because we're required by the state, by the DEP, to remove so many tons of material out of our stormwater. This is a tool to get us to that number. So Mr. Rakis had reached out to the Penn State Extension, and they had some interns and people in here that had done some, if I'm not correct, Mayor, they had come in and done some restoration, hand restoration through Penn State, and it's going to be an ongoing process. This is related to the rain tax that everyone in the Lehigh Valley is subject to. You know, Allentown, Easton passed it, Bethlehem's currently, that's happening, because this is an unfunded mandate proposed by the state that unfortunately we all have to deal with. And the monies aren't there to deal with this. So there's gonna have to be a revenue stream and actually some type of apparatus set up to deal with this MS4. So once again, this is, it's a good thing, and I think Mr. Clark can even explain in more detail exactly the in and outs of this, if you're curious.
Well, it's one of the things all the municipalities are required to come up with an action plan to reduce the sediments in the streams. And stream bank restoration is one of those tools you can use to cut down on the tonnage. Okay, and again, this is all mandated, as Mr. Mark said, by the state. So you have to look at creative ways to try to minimize the amount of sedimentation that's coming into the streams, either by stream bank restoration, filtering stormwater, all those different tools you can try to use in order to achieve your goal number in your report.
In other words, this is not it is an environmental, but it's not like under the Fish and Boat Commission or the
Correct.
DEP.
Correct. Well, this is part of DEP, yes.
It's the state
Yeah, it's DEP is administering
to
it.
prevent sediment from going into the stream, they restore the bank. Is that
That's part of it. That's one of the tools you can use is stream bank restoration. There's things you're doing that we're looking to do in detention ponds for natural plantings to filter out some of the sediments, things like that. Everything you can do to capture some of the particulates, that's the whole aim for this thing.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, the unfortunate thing about this whole situation, the only people that aren't subjected to this, and I have nothing against farmers, I love farmers, are farming and PennDOT. And probably, well, I gotta watch what I say, but probably one of our greatest polluters, and not PennDOT's fault, but the salt on the roadways and, the grime. But PennDOT is not subject to this because they're a state agency. And it's unfortunate, but it falls back on us municipalities to deal with this problem.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye. Commissioner Clary?
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryman?
Yes.
President Howard?
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Public hearing and voting on resolutions. Resolution number 3083, a resolution approving Belmont Glen Condominium Association's proposed removal of a portion of the fence located on their property and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an indemnification agreement and covenant running with the land in connection therewith. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Comments or questions from the board? Comments or questions from the floor?
I do have a question. Does the agreement indemnify the commissioners personally as well?
I actually did take a look at it today. No, it doesn't indemnify you personally. It indemnifies your
So
professional.
somebody can say you voted for this and something happened and sue an officer and they wouldn't defend.
Well, there are other protections available to the commissioners, not
Okay.
just the agreement.
All right. And the plantings only go up to the edge of the township property? Does it go up the path any distance? We haven't, haven't seen a map.
Well, it's attached to the indemnification agreement as Exhibit A. I believe it was prepared, but it does go right up to the property line along where the fence is. That is the
Okay, the
description we
plantings.
used. Yeah. And white cedar, I believe, is what we included in the indemnification agreement and the new resolution that has addressed that, based on Commissioner Ginder's request.
And Joe, you weren't here at the workshop meeting, but we took your recommendation. I don't know if you heard me.
Any other comments or questions? Comments or questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Fryman?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye. Commissioner Clary?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
And President Howard?
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3084, a resolution granting the request of Holy Trinity Roman Catholic Church's request for a waiver of fees associated with the filing of a zoning application for 4102 South Church Street, Whitehall Township. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Comments or questions from the board? Comments or questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Fryman?
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye. Commissioner Clary?
Aye.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
And President Howard?
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3085, a resolution for sewage facilities plan revision for new land development of property located at 4303 Spruce Street, Whitehall, PA, index number 1916-18. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Comments or questions from the board? Comments or questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Ginder?
Yes.
Commissioner Clary?
Aye.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Fryman?
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniger, aye. Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
President Howard?
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, everybody take a break. I got a lot to read here. Resolution number 3086, a resolution supplementing the following resolutions. Number 1, resolution number 2526, conditionally approving the conditional use of plan of the Gristmill Development Company located at 4287 South Church Street, index number 1716-07. Number 2, resolution number 2545, conditionally approving the preliminary land development plan of Taylor Villas located between South Church Street, Bridge Street, Willow Street, and Copley Creek, index number 1728-07. Number 3, a resolution number 2586, conditionally approving the land development plan of Taylor Villas located between South Church Street, Bridge Street, Willow Street, Rooksville Road, and the Copley Creek in the Egypt area of Whitehall Township, index number 1728-07. And number 4, resolution number 2621, supplementing resolution number 2586, which conditionally approved the final land development plan of Taylor Villas located between South Church Street, Bridge Street, Willow Street, and Rooksville Road, and the Copley Creek in the Egypt area of Whitehall Township, index number 1728-07, to formally split the land development of Taylor Villas into 3 distinct phases. Do I have a motion? Let me read it again.
Sorry.
That's right.
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Comments or questions from the board?
Go ahead.
I have a question for Mr. Clark, just unrelated to this, but the barrier in front of the retention pond on South Church Street, we had discussed that earlier, months ago.
Yeah.
Is there any headway on that?
Oh, it's on the plan. I'll have to
Right.
see what the schedule is to
Okay.
install that. But yeah, that is on the plan. It will be
Right.
done.
The sooner the better, just because of the fear that someone's gonna go over that berm and go into
Right.
deep water and we're gonna have a situation.
All right, let me check on the fence.
You know, and South Church Street is notorious for being very icy coming down that hill.
Oh, yeah.
And if we have a rollover accident and we get a serious winter storm where we have deep water and those ponds hold an awful lot of water, my concern is without a barrier or something to slow somebody down,
Right.
there's potential for disaster.
Okay, I'll look at the schedule and I'll get back to you on
All
that.
right, I know once the ground gets too hard, that game's gonna be over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
What's the, what is the plan there? Is it gonna be,
Oh, there's, along South Church Street, there's 2 ponds
right,
on either side. Both have them fenced. They are spec for fencing.
but is there a barrier that to,
No, the fence, the fence acts as the barrier to slow the cars down, or if you have a.
better than nothing.
situation.
well, that's my
Yeah.
problem. I don't wanna have a
Gotta
better
guard-
than nothing.
No,
If there's a
no.
guardrail or some sort that we can put there,
There was nothing planned
Yeah.
for that, other than,
that would make more sense to me.
um,
But you know what, I'm not an engineer.
no, I'm just saying.
I don't wanna play one on TV either.
I mean, because we just had a fatality there, and I know that the accident took place on the other side of the street, but we all live it. I mean,
Yeah.
the people that live in Egypt, and Mr. Howard's been hit there, so he can relate to the situation.
Have been hit there. I remember that.
I will look into it and find out what we can do with that.
Yeah, I would think that a guardrail would be better to prevent a car from going into that retention pond. Any other comments?
No, it's not a split rail thing. Can you tell me why this was not presented to us with, this is gonna be 3 phases? It normally, well, I'm just saying, here we are conditionally approving with 3 phases.
No, that was approved years ago.
Okay, then what is the
The only-
last part
the only
about
reason-
this then?
Okay, the only reason they're citing these 4 resolutions is that the easement that we're looking to slide over appears on every plan within those resolutions. All right, so what we're looking at tonight is we're amending or creating a resolution to recognize that every other plan that was shown that had the original stormwater easement on it is being modified to move that easement. That's all we're doing.
Okay, and this has been going on for a long time, that different people tried to come in and develop it and all that. Is that what you're trying to get across?
No,
No? Okay.
this job started in '07, so you're right, it's been around a long time.
Yeah.
All right, but I guess the planets aligned correctly and now it's viable. So, again, when they were looking at it, as we talked about last week, there could be a complication in the future where we wind up having to do licenses for people to have part of their deck in the easement, even though it's not in a swale. So in order to avoid all that, we're gonna move the easement. They redid the calculations, obviously, and they're gonna do some modified earthwork to move the swale away from the homes. It's a little more difficult, but they're willing to do it to avoid all those complications for Lee's department and here in the future. That's all. And again, we have to go back and say, where did this easement appear on every plan that we previously approved? That's why you have this long list of other resolutions, because that plan, or those easements appeared on those plans. So officially, we're putting the world on notice that we're moving the easement. It's gonna affect all the approvals that were done on these previous plans.
Okay.
And I think maybe Mr. Howard wants to read them again, just to make sure.
I'll be right at it. Ready? Resolution number 308. You want me to punish everyone, I'll punish everyone. Any other comments or questions? I meant from here first.
Okay.
Comments or questions from the floor? It's like you think this is the first time I'm doing this.
Well, you forget.
I forget,
sometimes.
you're right. I
Remember
was in
you
that,
got hit.
I was in that accident, yes. Any other comments or questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes?
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Fryman,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Mr. Sloniker, aye, and President Howard.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Moving on to Board of Commissioners reports. Start with you, Joe.
I just want to thank Mrs. Rackus and Mr. Rackus for everything that they do for our veterans. And it was a wonderful day. It was a great turnout. I wish more people would become engaged, but it is what it is. I know people are busy and they're working and such. I want to thank Chief Marks. The boys from Fullerton reached out to me and they were very happy with the service our men and women provided down on Fullerton Avenue today so they could cross the racetrack. And I thank Chief Nelson if he were here, but I know he's recovering from surgery. But thank you, thank you, thank you. One more thing, Mr. Clark, as long as we're talking. Mechanicsville Road, McDonald's, the Bakowitz sidewalk. Where are we in?
We are processing the application, the official HOP that Mr. Tabakowitz will be signing, because he has become a partner with PennDOT if you have a commercial HOP. So all those elements fell into place late last month, so we're processing with that. Now, PennDOT's already seen the plans, they reviewed them, everything else like that. So now they will get his signature officially on there that the memo of understanding has been signed. We'll move forward with putting the bid spec together to get that out.
When do you anticipate it? I know it's
Probably gonna be in the
hypotheticals.
spring. We're gonna see if we get the sidewalk in now, but the PennDOT will not allow us to do any road work until April 1st. So we are stuck that way. We're gonna see what else we can get done behind the curb line. If we have the weather, we'll work on their driveway and things like that. But again, we're kind of at the mercy of the weather at this point. The hard part was getting 10 bells to chime, because there's 10 airs, and that was a major feat. And we thought we had the green light back in, I guess, February. Mr. Herrick going down with them, but it's just taken this long to get all those wheels to turn. We've been at this for about 14 years.
I know.
So we're almost there. I appreciate your patience.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Ann?
I have nothing.
Mr. Ginder?
I, too, would like to thank Lee and John Rackus and whoever else. That was really great, Lee, and thanks to John. Make sure John knows, too. Other than that, I have nothing.
Commissioner Sloniker?
Since we're on PennDOT up here, when is the lengthening of the turn lane at that McDonald's heading north? I mean, the way I understand, this is what, 2 years old that it's supposed to happen, maybe? I don't know.
Well, PennDOT would love for us to do that, and they've made that statement very clear to me. However, that's a very expensive thing to do, cutting out that concrete, because there may be limitations on when we can work. So I haven't got any green lights yet to go ahead and price that out, but it's gonna be pricey. And the irony is that we had it working fine when Wawa came in. It was painted out. That way, if you needed a little extra room, it worked. Well, when they proposed and built the safety project, and I put that in quotes, they said, we're gonna put a concrete median in. I said, please don't do that. So now we have that situation. So we're trying to work with the department, but again, it's not something that the township did. The township begged them not to do that. So myself, I have a personal problem spending a lot of township money to fix that.
Okay,
Professionally, I'll do whatever
just
you
stop
want me to
there.
do.
Why is it then that we have to correct, which we
Okay.
already told them prior to them doing anything? It's gotta be longer. And I know the safety guys there, oh no, this is gonna be long enough. Why is it that that money has to come from us?
Well, it doesn't have to. Again, they'd like it to, but
Okay.
again, I haven't gotten any direction from anybody up there or the Traffic Impact Committee to progress with that. We're gonna have some other ongoing discussions with the department, so we'll be sure to bring that back up again.
Yeah, and I know it's never gonna be perfect, cause you're gonna run into when
Well,
there's,
sure.
you know, rush hour and whatnot, but now it doesn't matter what time of day you go
Right.
there, you know, people are like, oh.
Well, you're back again to what we had it before. People are jockeying to get over in that right lane because they know somebody's gonna be sticking out of that left-hand turn lane. So we're right back where we were.
Okay, that was that. I'd like to thank, besides the two veterans up here, the other veterans that are in the audience and the ones that are in the community for sacrificing as much as they did. So, thank you.
I just would echo that, just a very heartfelt appreciation for all the veterans, both who serve now and who've all served. Very thankful. That's all I have.
Same here. I was here at today's event. It was perfect, and it was well attended. And you know, it was a Monday. A lot of people had work, and still a lot of people made their effort to get here. Piggybacking on what Joe and Tom said, I know there was supposed to be a PennDOT meeting at the McDonald's a while back, or at least they expressed interest and willingness to meet with us. There's people that still have reservations or concerns about people trying to exit McDonald's on Mechanicsville Road to make a left, and a car barreling down that center lane. Also, people trying to turn into McDonald's on Mechanicsville Road. I mean, I don't know how we can stop them, but it would be wonderful if there was at least a bar that people would know, don't block the intersection. That would at least alleviate the trap back up onto MacArthur Road if people, one person. I do know when the developer was doing that project, the request was made for them to step that curb back so that there would be a ability to make the lanes wider.
Well, we did have a meeting with PennDOT in regard to that intersection and also the driveway. There are certain things PennDOT can and can't do with access to that property. One of the things that we're gonna be doing in conjunction with the Debakowitz work is we're going to eradicate the lines as they are now from MacArthur Road all the way back to the library. Now, most of that's done with the design of the Debakowitz driveway. However, PennDOT looked at it, and by narrowing those approach lanes, so if you're heading eastbound on Mechanicsville, as you'll be going past the Debakowitz apartment building there, so the road's gonna be obviously wider when we get that work done. So as you approach the MacArthur Road, the lanes will be slightly narrowed, all right? So what that's gonna do is all the traffic, the 3 lanes will be pushed to the south more,
Right.
which opens up the northern lane, the eastbound, or the westbound lane, next to the car dealer.
So there's more opportunity for a car to
So
get
there's
around.
gonna be
If there's
room for
one car
runaround,
trying to turn in,
okay?
it's not.
So that's an accepted practice, and that's actually what it's called, a
Yeah,
runaround.
that's what I thought.
So you'll get, all it takes is one vehicle to stop that up, and then you have, people backing out onto MacArthur Road. So they felt that was the best approach at this point. You get into other situations if you sign it with don't block intersection, when you have multiple lanes. Because you may have one or two courteous people, but that third guy's not courteous. And it gives people a false sense of security.
Got it.
So they're very cautious about that. What they're hoping for is when you have the 3 lanes that are gonna be available when we widen the road, all right, you're gonna be able to stack more people, and they're hoping that it'll work a lot better and provide some more gaps. So right now, the idea is in conjunction with the Debakowitz project, we're gonna slide those lanes over.
And eliminating those trees and things is gonna improve line of sight
Quite a bit.
tremendously.
Yeah, we've been, like I said, we've been after this for 14 years. So,
Frank, is there any reason to believe that putting big X's in front of that access point on Mechanicsville Road across all of the lanes of traffic might give people the idea that they shouldn't be stopping in that box so that people can get through there.
I have to run that by PennDOT. There's all kinds of rules in regard to pavement markings. I could certainly suggest that and find out if that's something applicable. You have to watch about stop bars. Now, I know you can't use that, but I don't know if there's any other even dash lines or something like that to make people more aware of that driveway. So,
Where did it become acceptable to cross? There's a double yellow line there and 3 lines of traffic, right?
yes,
Where did it seem acceptable for people that drive pretty much, that they can just make a left-hand turn through all that traffic?
I don't know. They drive among us.
That's what I mean, we're sitting here trying to solve a problem,
Right.
that if people would just use common sense,
That's a short.
don't cut across 3 lanes of traffic and cut across a double yellow line.
Well,
Go up and turn around somewhere else.
You can't break a double yellow line for a private driveway, okay?
Okay.
Only for a public street, but again, using common sense, do you really?
But now
need
we're
that?
gonna stop and stack up more cars
We
on
have the
that.
same thing at Shot Avenue at the Dunkin' Donuts, right? There's 3 lanes of traffic, and yet somebody has to get their coffee
It's gonna
fixed.
get worse then.
Crossing 3 lanes of traffic.
I can tell you who
I'm
does
so
it.
old.
One of our constituents called me from her cell phone with 3
getting
screaming
grumpy like
toddlers in the
Ginger.
back seat, and she did it.
Yeah?
And she said, "Are you the crazy man who authorized this?" And I said, "No, I had absolutely nothing to do with it, but, you know,
Take,
give the kids your Happy Meal and drive
Yeah.
on, you know."
see, all these years of sitting up next to Ginder's making me grumpy,
Yeah, I get that.
right?
Absolutely.
Give me something to throw.
Absolutely.
Anything else there, Mr. Commissioner Warren?
No, sir, thank
All
you.
right, so, again, I just want to echo everybody's thank you to our veterans. You know, again, I thank everybody in the township who put the work together for the monument. We've been through this before, and it's just such a great thing that we can do and spend some time and honor our veterans here in the township. I do want to keep everyone, make everyone aware, Pastor Bodnick, who was the pastor of the church right here next to us at Faith Lutheran, lost his battle with that mesothelioma this week. And if you've never, he was, fortunately for me, he was the pastor of my church. But if you never got to meet him and just be around what a great man he was and how funny he was and just a great man, just keep him and his family in your prayers. It's a tremendous loss for that community there, and yeah, we're sorry that this had to happen, but inevitably, when you're battling something as serious as what he had, wasn't much we could do. So, just keep him in their family in prayers. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, it was a very good day today, and I want to begin by thanking Phil and Joe and everyone else who worked on that memorial in front of this municipal building, because it afforded us an opportunity today to have, for the first time, our Fullerton American Legion, the Hackendakwa American Legion, and the VFW together to celebrate Veterans Day. And hopefully we will continue that with Memorial Day. And it was a well-attended event. I think this is the right thing to do. And you should know that this is the 100th year anniversary of the American Legion and the 120th year anniversary of the VFW. So today, having also the color guard from the Whitehall Police Department was much appreciated by the crowd there today also. I think it was a great event today. Couple of things during the last month. As you know, we were named a community of distinction, a candidate. We did not win that event from the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. That went to Plainfield Township, I believe. But we were one of 4 candidates for that. So we got a plaque, we got something Also for having been nominated as a community that did the most to assist in the development of the DNL in this area. That was part of a program having to do with regionally significant developments throughout the area. Our project did not get selected, but we continue to work on this DNL thing. We are in the middle of negotiations with our police department and our union. We move forward with that. We hope that we'll be able to resolve those. Representatives from the police department and the fire department and myself presented to the Whitehall Township Public Library Board the progress that has been made in the community in the past year since we've seen them. They open this up to commentary from within the local government to keep them alert and aware of what's going on around them. Continue to meet with the Fullerton Legion relative to the Route 22 development and the project that would seem likely to happen when Wood Street winds up getting closed. And that looks like they're going to be able to agree comfortably with PennDOT that we would see a road opposed to Park Street that'll be constructed when that happens. And the future Lehigh Valley project that was announced recently highlighted Whitehall in a number of instances and things that might happen in the future. These are particularly idyllic projections of what we can get done here. If we have somebody who has lots of money, please give it to us. We can do some of these things. But it was nice seeing that the Planning Commission believes that we're a key element in the development of the region as we move forward. And looks like Keystone Harley is going to be on its way in the near future. We've been meeting with them also. Those are kind of highlights.
I get the boring stuff, just a reminder that all the taxes are in the penalty phase, so get them in. There's your money.
Two things. Do we want to talk about the Dave and Buster's? Or do we go to the executive session?
The only other, the executive session is just for the litigation matter.
Right.
We've received a request from Ellen Freeman, who previously had represented the Sheets, but she's representing another entity, a Dave and Buster's that wants to come into the community. They have purchased a liquor license, are looking to do a transfer. They have asked whether it would be possible to do a special meeting of the Board of Commissioners before the end of this month, because if they do not get approval prior to November 30th, they will have to pay an additional $10,000 safekeeping fee. I told them that they would have to defray any costs, obviously, if you guys were willing to do that. That said, it's completely up to you as to whether you wish to have a special session.
Can I comment before you respond? I spoke with her. It was not possible for us to advertise anything that could have been completed prior to the end of the month. And in conversation with her, she said, you know, they got it to you at the last minute. If they've got to pay the 10 grand, they've got to pay the 10 grand. The board can decide to do that, but I don't think we can accommodate this without some discomfort or and suit your schedules. Let's put it that way in terms of advertising.
And I believe I spoke to Larissa about this. The advertising would be very problematic, to put it lightly. I believe
We
that's,
have 10 days, right?
yeah,
Problematic or impossible?
problematic. It would be possible, correct? If we got it out today or tomorrow, it would be possible.
It wouldn't get advertised till next Thursday. If
Yeah.
it went in this week.
What about the morning call? If they want to,
The week of Thanksgiving.
Which,
Meeting.
and the week of Thanksgiving is tough, so.
So if we put it out this week, it wouldn't go until the 21st.
Correct.
We could advertise it in the morning call if they would offset the cost. That's expensive ad.
And again, we told them they would have to offset it, but again, you're gonna be abutting up to the Thanksgiving holiday. Just, I mean, it's completely your decision whatsoever, but those are the practical solutions to that, and that's why I wanted to raise it with the board. She asked that I raise it to you folks, and you guys make the decision.
Well, if it goes out on the 21st, we don't have 10 days.
Correct, there's only 30 days in November, we can't make it work.
Just
My
making-
math is
I was
amazing.
just making sure my math is correct. So we would have to advertise it in the morning call, right? But then we could do it.
Yes, correct.
And if they're willing to defray or to pick up that cost and any other costs associated with this meeting, I don't have a problem with it.
They would pay your attorney fee also.
I will make them aware of that.
Yeah, because I don't feel we should have to pay the attorney fee
Right.
to try and do this.
And I told her outright that they would have to defray all costs, and that would
Yeah,
probably be.
including the attorney fee.
Sure.
But between your fee and the morning
advertising,
call,
it'll
it's
be-
gonna be less than $10,000 for them.
Yeah.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Right, so it would be in their best
Well,
interest to
unless
do
I
it.
spend a lot of time on it, yeah, that's
Right.
fair.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. I guess we could, if we got it in this week, could we do like the 21st, or sorry, the 25th or the 26th for a special meeting?
I'm good.
That's a Monday or Tuesday.
I'm not here,
Where are you gonna be?
in the wilderness. Like
You're not gonna be shooting down to Lehigh River, are you?
Yeah.
You never know, I can, you know.
I'm good either night. It doesn't matter to me.
We'll have a quorum on the 25th?
Whatever day works, I'm good.
Is that still, does that work time-wise?
25th,
It has to be, you have to have 10 days.
yeah,
10
But-
business days,
But if we put it in this week,
10 business days.
yeah, I'm doing the math in my head.
It would
No,
have,
that would still be short,
it would have to be the 26th or 27th.
Yeah.
If they got it in tomorrow.
and that's if they got it to us tomorrow and we got it in the paper that
Right.
quickly. They would have to
Okay.
advertise it the next day,
So the 27th is the only target, really.
really.
Forget the 26th.
Requires at least 4 days till I could get it in, till it would be in.
If you wanted, the board could approve it conditionally to see if it was even possible. That might be the only way to do this, because we'll have to tell them about the offsetting of costs. I mean, I already did tell her that, but we should, I mean, I don't even know if we can get it in time.
okay. Yeah, 'cause, yeah, the 27th is obviously the night before.
Yeah, it's the night before Thanksgiving.
Will they also provide turkey or, no, I'm
Yeah.
teasing.
Well, I mean, if we're asking, I mean, I don't see.
They're saving them all money.
They
Yeah,
go
I mean,
to-
let's.
They go to Wawa and get us gobblers, sure.
Let's see if we can do it for that date, if we can, if we can't. December's right around the corner.
I see
I-
Mrs. Rackett.
Nobody up here created this problem, right?
No, this
Okay,
has
thank
nothing to
you.
do with us.
Well, within the timeframe to approve it in December. It's
Yeah.
a 45-day timeframe.
Yeah.
And
They want it so that they don't have to pay the extra.
Yeah, we had already put this on the December agenda, we had discussed it with her. There was a prior issue where she was trying to get it advertised quicker, but they withdrew that request, so there's really no liability to us. This is completely within your purview as to whether you wanna go forward with it or not.
The building's going up. Let's do what we can do to help them.
Yeah.
They were good enough to come into Whitehall to do business here and put a
Yeah, like I
building
said,
up and
if we can
stuff.
make it happen, we'll make it happen. If not,
Okay.
like I said, nobody here created the problem. See if we can fix it. If we can't, we can't.
Alright,
And then you could just mention that maybe they'd be interested in an in-kind donation to a food bank, just, you know,
okay.
just, I'm just saying that, you know, they could just do that, you know,
They could do that, hopefully they would,
right.
we'll see.
Okay, we will go into executive session on a litigation matter. Do I have a motion to adjourn? And second? Thanks, Phil. Have a great night, great Thanksgiving, everyone.
Oh, it's an adult.
Wait, I thought Thanksgiving, no, that's not
Charlie! Charles!
MIZUR.
Congratulations. Look forward to working with you. If I can help you with anything, call me. And anything I can help you with, I promise I will help you. You want my? Yeah, you come, I'll help you. I want you to succeed.
Hey, congratulations, I look forward to working with you.
Don't do anything else. Really can't, at least from what I understood.
Look at this.
When Mr. Mazzura was talking about the firearms thing, did you mention that there have been some concerns before about people, like in the past?
In the past,